Every American family has a dish that defined their childhood dinner table. For millions across the upper Midwest, that dish wasn't passed down through generations of grandmothers or imported from the old country. It was invented by accident in an Oregon potato plant in 1953, popularized by a soup company's marketing department, and immortalized in church basements from Duluth to Des Moines. The tater tot casserole didn't need centuries to become tradition. It needed cream of mushroom soup, ground beef, and the specific economic anxiety of post-war America. But here's what almost nobody knows. The casserole Minnesota calls hot dish, and the rest of America calls tater tot casserole, represents one of the most successful corporate food engineering projects in history. It took a waste product that potato processors were throwing away, transformed it into a $78 million brand, and then convinced an entire generation that this was comfort food. The story isn't just about a recipe. It's about how American cuisine gets made in test kitchens and church cookbooks, not in grandmother's kitchen. The tater tot itself begins with a problem. The year is 1953. The Grigg brothers, Nephi and Golden Grigg, are running Ore-Ida, a frozen food company in Ontario, Oregon, near the Idaho border. They're processing thousands of pounds of potatoes daily, and they're throwing away the scraps. Potato slivers, fragments, pieces too small to freeze as French fries or potato rounds. In a food processing plant, waste is lost profit. Every pound of potato hitting the floor is money walking out the door. Nephi Grigg wasn't satisfied watching profit disappear. He started experimenting with the scraps. What if they could be shredded, mixed with flour and seasoning, then formed into small cylinders? The initial tests were discouraging. The cylinders fell apart during frying. They were too greasy. The texture was wrong. But Grigg kept adjusting the formula, the frying temperature, the freezing process. By late 1953, Ore-Ida had a product, coin-sized potato cylinders with a crispy exterior and fluffy interior. They called them tater tots, a name that sounded cheerful and diminutive, perfect for children's plates. The first test markets were in the Pacific Northwest. The product struggled. Restaurants didn't know what to do with them. Grocers weren't sure where to stock them. Were they a side dish, a snack, a novelty? Ore-Ida's marketing team realized they had an identity problem. The tater tot needed a purpose. Then came the school lunch programs. Post-World War II. America had invested heavily in institutional food service. School cafeterias were feeding millions of children daily, and they needed cheap, efficient, kid-friendly foods that could be prepared by cafeteria workers with minimal training. Tater tots were perfect. They could be baked from frozen, required no preparation, and kids loved them. By 1960, tater tots had become a staple of American school lunches. An entire generation grew up associating those crispy cylinders with childhood. But the casserole, that came from somewhere else entirely. Campbell's Soup Company had been running one of the most aggressive recipe marketing campaigns in American history since the 1940s. Their cream of mushroom soup wasn't just a soup. It was an ingredient, a sauce base, a cooking shortcut. Campbell's test kitchens were developing hundreds of recipes designed to use their condensed soups, and they were printing them on labels, in magazines, in free recipe booklets distributed at grocery stores. The goal was simple: make Campbell's soup indispensable to the American housewife. One of those recipes combined ground beef, cream of mushroom soup, and a starch topping. Early versions used potato chips or crushed crackers, but by the mid-1960s, home cooks in Minnesota and Wisconsin had started substituting tater tots. The combination was revelatory. The beef and soup created a rich, salty base. The tater tots absorbed some of the moisture while staying crispy on top. The entire dish could be assembled in minutes, baked in one pan, and served to a family of 6 for under $2. In Minnesota, they didn't call it casserole. They called it hot dish, a term with Norwegian and Swedish roots that reflected the state's Scandinavian immigrant population. Hot dish was more than food. It was social currency. Church potlucks, funeral luncheons, neighborhood gatherings. Hot dish was what you brought. And the tater tot version became the undisputed champion. The economics were impossible to ignore. In 1970, ground beef cost about 65 cents per pound. A can of cream of mushroom soup cost 15 cents. A bag of frozen tater tots cost 40 cents. For $1.20, a home cook could assemble a dish that would feed a family of 4 with leftovers. Compare that to a roast, which required expensive cuts of meat and hours of cooking time, or a from-scratch casserole that demanded fresh vegetables and homemade sauce. The tater tot casserole delivered maximum calories and satisfaction for minimum investment. But it wasn't just about price, it was about time. The 1960s and 70s saw more American women entering the workforce. Dinner preparation time was shrinking. The tater tot casserole could be assembled in the morning, refrigerated, and baked when you got home from work. It required no culinary skill, no specialty equipment, no complicated techniques. You browned meat, mixed it with soup, topped it with frozen tots, and baked. A 10-year-old could make it. Food critics hated it. Nutritionists criticized it. Culinary sophisticates mocked it as Midwestern slop, the epitome of everything wrong with American processed food culture. But families kept making it. Because it worked. Because kids ate it without complaint. Because it showed up at every church basement and school fundraiser and neighborhood potluck from 1965 to 1995. Because it was reliable in a way that few things in life are reliable. The recipe itself evolved regionally. In Minnesota, some cooks added corn. In Wisconsin, they topped it with shredded cheese. In North Dakota, cream of chicken replaced mushroom. Some families mixed in green beans or peas. Others added French fried onions on top. The base remained constant: ground beef, cream soup, tater tots, but the variations reflected local tastes and family traditions. By the 1980s, Ore-Ida was selling more than $78 million worth of tater tots annually. The product had long since transcended its origins as a way to use potato scraps. It had become an American institution, and the casserole had become the dish's defining use case. Ore-Ida even started printing hot dish recipes on the bag. Then came the backlash. The 1990s food revolution championed fresh ingredients, international flavors, and cooking from scratch. Food Network launched in 1993, bringing celebrity chefs into American living rooms. Suddenly, the tater tot casserole looked embarrassing. It represented everything the new food culture rejected: processed ingredients, corporate recipes, Midwestern blandness. The dish became a punchline, a symbol of unsophisticated taste. But something interesting happened. The casserole survived, not in trendy restaurants or food magazines, but in the same places it had always thrived: church basements, family reunions, potlucks, and weeknight dinner tables. Because when you're feeding a family on a budget, when you're juggling work and childcare and 100 other demands, the tater tot casserole still makes sense. It's still cheap, it's still easy, it's still filling, and it still tastes like home to millions of people who grew up eating it. In recent years, the dish has experienced a cultural rehabilitation. Food writers have started exploring it with anthropological curiosity rather than culinary contempt. The casserole has been reframed as regional food heritage, a legitimate expression of upper Midwest cuisine. High-end restaurants have created ironic, elevated versions with grass-fed beef, house-made tots, and artisanal mushroom cream. But these reinterpretations miss the point. The tater tot casserole was never about culinary innovation. It was about solving a problem: how to feed a family when time and money are both scarce. The dish also reveals something about how American food culture actually works. We romanticize grandmother's recipes and traditional cooking, but the truth is that much of what we consider traditional American food was invented by corporations in the mid-20th century. Green bean casserole was created by the Campbell's test kitchen in 1955. Ranch dressing was invented by a plumber in Alaska in 1949 and commercialized by Hidden Valley in 1954. Jell-O salads, tuna casseroles, crock-pot roasts, these weren't handed down through generations. They were marketed into existence. The tater tot casserole is honest about its origins. It doesn't pretend to be something it's not. It's a product of post-war food engineering, corporate marketing, and economic necessity. It's what happens when a potato waste product meets a canned soup marketing campaign meets a generation of families trying to make ends meet. And it became beloved anyway, not despite its corporate origins, but almost because of them. It delivered on its promise. It worked. Today, Ore-Ida still sells hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tater tots annually. The casserole remains a staple across the Midwest and beyond. New generations discover it, often through college dorm cooking or their first experience feeding themselves on a tight budget. The recipe gets passed along, not through handwritten cards, but through internet recipe sites and Facebook groups and text messages between family members. The sound of your fork breaking through that crispy tot crust is still a dinner bell, still a signal that someone cared enough to make dinner, even when time and money were tight. Still a reminder that comfort food doesn't need to be complicated or expensive or traditionally prepared. Sometimes it just needs to work. And for millions of families across America, the tater tot casserole has worked for more than 50 years. That's not a trick of marketing. That's survival. That's adaptation. That's American cuisine, made not in grandmother's kitchen, but in the messy reality of feeding families in a changing world. The casserole endures because it solved a real problem, and that problem hasn't gone away. How do you feed people you love when resources are limited? The tater tot casserole answered that question with ground beef, cream of mushroom soup, and Ore-Ida's golden frozen potato cylinders invented in 1953. And for generations of struggling families, that answer was enough.